Welcome to Play Pause Turn. In this podcast, we discuss all things to do with TV, films, games and literature. We give our thoughts on the media we've been enjoying, old or new, and comment on anything topical. Welcome back! It's been a long break. Sorry, we've been away. We've all been away. My hosts today are myself, John, and I have, in alphabetical order, Alex and Roberto. Good evening, or morning, or good afternoon, chaps.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Everyone's a bit tired. We've all got back to work, and we're all a bit knackered. So, but you know, it could be worse. We could be starting a new job at the age of 72, couldn't we?
Yeah.
So, we have our usual intro questions, and I'm going to ask Bobby first. Bobby, do you have any funny anecdotes about the royal family? We're not going to go too far into the royal family because everyone's fed up with their back teeth now of hearing about them. But we've got to be a bit topical, as the intro suggested. So, Bobby, tell me about your secret relationship with... No, hold on. Carol. You just go for it. Go on. I don't want to spoil it.
Two actually spring to mind. Number one, I was sat behind Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice on a Virgin Atlantic flight on the way back from Florida once.
Oh, were they wearing those silly hats?
No, I don't think so. There was a curtain between us because I was in economy and they were in the other bit.
Could you reach and touch them through the curtains?
I could have done.
Probably got flattened by a bodyguard.
Yeah, but
Wow.
You know, we leave that sort of thing to their father.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Allegedly.
The views of Bobby do not reflect the rest of the hosts on this show.
Except they sort of do.
Yeah.
And the other one is I was in the workroom. So for those listeners who may be new to Play Pause Turn and don't know, I am actually a bespoke tailor,
Host
menswear
of Tailoring
designer,
Talk, the podcast.
and host of Tailoring Talk, the podcast as well. So I was in the workroom and I saw a rather tatty linen suit on the bench and said to my head tailor, "What the hell is that?" And he said, "Well, the customer wants us to patch it and repair it to keep it going." And I said, "That looks like it's been patched about 400 times since 1947. And he said, "Well, you're not far off. It's Prince Charles's." And that's what King Charles III does with his clothes. He is very much into sustainability where he can. And he doesn't buy new unless he absolutely has to. And so I didn't know this, but we have had a steady stream of his clothing in the workroom at various points in time for ridiculous levels of repair. There you go.
Oh, wow.
So I've never met any of them, but I have touched their garbs. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, maybe I did sort of finger it a bit.
Ooh. How about you, Alex? Have you had any sort of royal collisions in your time?
No, the nearest I came was running the London Marathon many years ago and running down the mall. That with that bit around the corner where you know you see the background of Palace in the background, so that was quite nice. But yeah, that was many years ago. But yeah, apart from that, no, I've got no.
So
I just really
sort of walked near where they live, basically.
Yeah, that's about as close as many other tourists. Practically everyone in London has at some point passed that and gone, "That's that Buckingham Palace." Yeah. Should we go and find a Pizza Express? Yeah, okay, and then move on.
Well, I guess you're pretty hungry after a run, aren't you, as well, to be fair?
Yeah, exactly. Pasta or pizza is the key with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, keep running.
Get back into it.
I have a bit of a story. My grandfather was the Archdeacon of Rochester, and he was, in his time... one of the Queen Elizabeth's equerries. So he was on her team of kind of like aides and PAs for dealing with all her affairs in his time. So obviously he's no longer with us, hasn't been for a long time. But my mother was invited to Buckingham Palace for a garden party, and she was allowed to bring her family along. And I was about 21, 22 at the time. I'd left uni and I was working in a pub, running a bar. And look, there's a picture of Alex 15 years ago. God, look at you, blimey! You look like who's that comedian? Phoenix Knight.
No, he looks a bit like Ali Jones.
Yeah, a little bit. Ali Jones meets. Is it Peter Kay?
Yeah, a little bit.
But politely. I mean, I don't mean in size. I mean in shape, look. Anyway, back to me.
Sorry, I distracted.
It's all about me now.
Go on.
We got invited to a garden party. So, I mean, I should have called Bobby then, but I'm not sure Bobby would have been alive. How old were you? Were you around 20 years ago? You probably weren't. You're so young and fresh.
Yeah, I was. I think I'm the same age as you.
Oh, you are. Yeah, that's a good point. You just look better than I do. So I had to get a top hat and tails, and I thought of you when I thought of this story, Bobby, because I remember hiring this top hat and tails from a Moss Bros in Maidstone.
Oh God!
And it was really hard to get a top hat. It was one of these sort of grey, sort of shiny grey top hat and tail suits. And we queued up outside Buckingham Palace, Buck House, with Paul Daniels and Debbie McGee in front of us, cracking jokes. And so we went in. The garden party's in the bit that Alex ran around earlier on, sort of the back of the palace, which leads down to the Thames at the bottom of it. So you could imagine this big grassy area. We walked through the palace. There's marquees down one side with cucumber sandwiches and tea being served. Sandwiches with the crust cut off. I'll have you. No. And we're kind of all milling about, and then you've got Charles and his family all wandering around. Prince Charles is a lot taller than you expect. Shockingly, like he's a beanpole. And we were approached by the current equerries and told, we're going to be presenting you to the Queen. So they got the crowd to line up and leave like a long avenue empty for the Queen to walk down. And as she walked down, the heavens opened. I mean, it absolutely chucked it down. And the Queen came up to us, and she had her trademark, umbrella with a see-through umbrella. And I'm standing there with my top hat off in her presence. And she's talking to me. Oh, what do you do? And I was like, I run a pub. Oh, lovely. And then she looked at me, and there's literally water streaming off my nose. And she looks up at the sky, and she goes, "It's a bit wet, isn't it?" And just walks off. So then a couple of minutes later, we're all milling about again, and a couple of old deers at the bottom of the lawn get struck by lightning. So you've got a couple of stretchers going around from the St John's Ambulance carrying these people who've been struck by lightning off the lawn. And so the Queen said, "Right, this is dangerous. Everyone get inside the palace." So we want to go back into the palace with our muddy feet. And we're all sitting in one of her staterooms with all this gold leaf on the walls, like the most surreal experience of my life, having a chat with the Queen wandering around. And I looked at my dad and I said, should we go and get a beer? So we wandered off into the city to get a beer. We'd had enough by then and just left. But very, very surreal experience indeed. But the Queen was very pleasant. So, not a big royal. In fact, at the time, I'd been bet by my co-workers at the pub to turn around and drop my trousers and moon the Queen as a sort of anti-royalist statement. But I didn't. I didn't do that because that would have been disrespectful, I think, to anyone.
You don't do that to your nan, do you?
No, you don't. No, you don't. So, anyway.
Sorry, what was your granddad, the Archbishop of Rochester?
He was the Archdeacon of Rochester, not the Archbishop. The Archdeacon of Rochester. Yeah.
What's a deacon?
It's in the hierarchy.
When it's not an alien embryo.
It's in the hierarchy. I mean, I'd have to look it up, to be honest. I didn't do much research on it.
Okay, I'm writing this down for future reference. Yeah. You may proceed.
I'll have to look it up. Okay, anyway, I hope everyone had a lovely summer. We're just going to have a nice little chat as we ease ourselves back into the world of media and games and books and so on, and just chat about some of the things that we've been enjoying over the summer that we've been doing. So let's start off with Alex. Alex, you're a busy chap generally. What have you been doing over the summer?
One of the things is I went to Mauritius with my wife and I had a very late honeymoon.
Honeymoon?
Well, kind of, because we didn't really have a honeymoon when we were younger. So
that's why you left the kids behind. Yeah.
This was why we left my daughter behind. And
yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't normally do that. We're not barbarians, just sort of send her to a caravan park while we're off sunning ourselves. No, we didn't do that.
It's cheaper as well, to be fair.
It is. But yeah, so we visited Mauritius, which was lovely, very nice. very temperate at that time of year, actually. It was sort of 25, no more than 30 degrees, which was lovely because we had baking heat in the UK.
So about 15 degrees cooler than over here, basically.
Yeah, so it was actually incredibly pleasant, and I really enjoyed it. So, and the water was lovely, and it was just nice not to have to think about anything. So thoroughly enjoyed my time there. We missed a lot. There was a lot of TV over the period we've been off. There has been a lot to watch. So I really do want to delve into that, but I don't know if we want to kind of come back to more TV, because I think there's lots of TV we can discuss. But yeah, so recovering from Mauritius. Now we're in September and my daughter's gone back to school. It's very much not summer anymore. So it's very, very definitely cooler in the UK a bit, and I think we're all kind of hunkering down for winter now. So that's the way I see it.
Well, it's raining cats and dogs out my window right now. I don't know about you chaps, but yeah, I think although it's still quite warm, and how very English about discussing the weather on a podcast. Although it's very warm, it's quite wet and damp, isn't it, at the moment? So get your wellies out. How about you, Bob? Have you been anywhere abroad this summer, or you just been enjoying driving your new Mini around?
No, we didn't go abroad. We staycationed. We went to Cornwall. Yes. We took our dogs with us. We'll never do it again.
Why?
It's too much hard work. You're driving everywhere to get to places where dogs are actually allowed, because most beaches ban dogs in the summer in Cornwall. And you have to climb up and down to get to places. It's just very, very tiring. And we will stick to the Mediterranean in future, where we can just book a 5-star hotel and have breakfast and saunter out to the beach and swim and sleep and eat and swim and sleep and eat and repeat, rather than having to get in the car every single day, trying to find where we can actually go with these stupid little critters. So there we go. Staycationing is overrated.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would normally choose a holiday locally, but I actually went to Norway this summer.
Wow.
My in-laws bought a cheap 2-day trip to Rotterdam pre-COVID, and then when COVID kicked in, it kept getting bumped up and up as we kept missing those dates, and so we had a week in Norway. I'm a bit of a the whole cruise thing I found quite an eye-opener. I could discuss a whole podcast about cruise ships and the lifestyle and the sort of people that go on them. And I'm sure a lot of people enjoy cruises. I found it an interesting and a slightly frustrating way to visit a country. But Norway is lovely, and I'd live there in a flash. I love Norway.
I really like that, because we were, before we had booked to go to Mauritius, because we were in a similar situation. We had booked to go away. Amy had actually booked a cruise to Norway for a week.
Oh, wow.
So you pretty much did the holiday that we were going to do. So we'll have to catch up on that and talk a bit more about
it was
what
lovely.
It was like.
And I love the country, and I love actually being on the mainland. The ship was interesting and an amazing structure, and the food was lovely, and some of the people were interesting. But I just sat in the Commodore Club and drank cocktails in the evenings. Bought myself some new shirts and jackets. I should have gone to Bobby, but I had to do it at the last minute. But yes, but whilst I was on the ship, I did spot someone I recognised, and I thought, he looks familiar. And actually, one of my fellow cruise passengers was John Romero, who co-founded id Software with John Carnack, and is the chap who, alongside John Carnack, developed Quake and Doom. And he was on my cruise with me, so I got a little selfie with him, and he was a very nice chap indeed. In fact, he was there with his whole family. Brenda Romero, who's also a very influential coder and game designer, was there as well. And in fact, his son said to me, "Oh damn, I've lost the bet," because he thought on a ship of over 60s, he wouldn't be recognised, but
oh right,
it was me. But yeah, so that was quite good.
Good spot.
Yeah,
John, did you tell him about our podcast?
No.
Oh my God, you donut.
Well,
we could have gone viral within the coding community.
Maybe. I'm not.
We could have had John on as a guest.
Oh, that would have been awesome. He's moved his studio from the US to Ireland, which I think is why he was on the,
That's
the
nice.
cruise ship. So he loves the country, and he's moved it all over here. So that's quite cool. So he's nearby, which is good.
Ah.
And I would imagine at some point we're going to see it.
Have you got his deets?
Yeah. Well, no, I haven't. No, I'm not a big fan of approaching famous people saying, "Can I have your autograph?" He was actually very sweet.
No, you were stuck on a cruise ship together for a week or whatever. You could have just groomed a friendship over the course of days. It takes time. You stretch it.
Yeah, no.
Well,
Well,
why? What? Oh my God! I have so much to teach you, young Padawan.
I think you've got to start with the card, haven't you?
Me and John
get
Romero
business
would have
card.
been best mates. We'd have been going down the ramp off the boat together, seeing if we could share a taxi. We'd have already met up for dinner and stuff, and he'd have been on my podcast by now, and then I would have lined him up for Play Pause Turn as well, and then we would have just exploded within the gaming community. I mean, if you heard this cool podcast, John's just been on it, everyone's got to listen to it. Anyway,
should have brought you along.
Sliding doors moment.
Yep, there you go. Anyway, thank you, Bobby.
You would have been working, Bobby. You would have. This is it. You would have had your working hat on.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had your vacation hat on. You would have your work hat saying, "Hey, have you thought about a tailored suit?"
Are you kidding? A cruise ship full of a bunch of walking corpses, and then John Romero. I would have totally had podcasting hat on.
There were some very interesting evening wear choices, Bobby, on the ship. There was a 1920s gala night. It was interesting. Anyway, moving on. So back to you, Alex. What have you been watching or playing that's kind of caught your interest over the summer? That's you mentioned a lot of TV earlier on. What have you picked out from that?
There was so much TV. We were looking through what we had watched over the summer, and I was just amazed at quite how much had dropped over the summer period. We completely devoured Only Murders in the Building on Disney Plus, season 2, which is I was initially skeptical about because the first season was so good, and I was like, yeah, they're not going to repeat that though. It's not going to work quite that way. And by the end of it, it was really good because obviously you want them to come to a conclusion, and then it does. But yeah, no, you just think, yeah, we've done this. You can't just repeat this again. It won't work. And it did. So
I must get back
really
into it.
impressed with it.
I think I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes and kind of dropped off it a little bit.
You have to persevere in the second season a little bit, but that's just because a lot of things aren't new anymore. So and you're still investigating something. So it's something that's known. So it's the intrigue takes a bit more digging, but it is really good. So so thoroughly enjoyed that. I realised that we've not done a Play Pause Turn on Miss Marvel either.
Ooh, that's true.
Which I really enjoyed. I thought it was excellent. And yeah, it was just too short, but I honestly loved it.
Is that it? Is that the only season they're going to do of it? Is it a limited series? Can you remember? Are they going to come back with more? Or?
I think there will be a season 2 eventually, but I think it's just how it fits in with the problem with Marvel is they've got this whole pattern of what's happening next. So she's going to be in the Marvels. Yeah, that comes out. I think it's late 23 or early 24. So the thing is, it's not like we can just go, great, let's go back to season 2. It has to make sense in the context of whatever happens in the Marvels.
Yeah.
And that's the bit which I worry about, because sometimes that narrative gets in the way of, look, it's just a nice series. Let's just have more of this, please. There's lots of comics to take material to work with, so it's not like they're short on material. But no, instead they did set a lot up in Miss Marvel. So I really think that there should be a season 2, but it's going to be 2024, or 2025. So that's the bit that worries me.
I enjoyed it. I thought the character, the actress that played Miss Marvel was very good for Kamala Khan. Mm-hmm. I thought they dealt with the whole partition thing very sensitively, and it's nice to hear people I know who've seen it go out and read more about the partition. That's a really good thing.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved how they explained it, because they didn't explain it in a preachy way, and they also made it make sense from a story point of view. So it wasn't just about, here's a history lesson. It was, this is what this is what they experienced. This is what they had to go through, and we're going to take you there and help you understand why that's important. And so that made it really powerful. Like I really felt impressed about it. And I've been starting to listen to a podcast called Empire, which talks a little bit about not just partition. It talks about lots of things around the British Empire in it to start off with, that you wouldn't really have heard of. You didn't realise because it's not something you cover at school as much as perhaps
it seems quite contentious, the whole teaching of the empire at schools at the moment, which is a bit frustrating because you still got to learn about the mistakes that we make as well as the victories and the successes.
The thing is, it's a fascinating piece of history, and the problem is that it gets politicised because people have opinions about it.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, you just have to say what happened.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you explain what happens, then people can understand. Oh, well, I'll make my own mind up about things. But at the moment, what tends to happen is we don't really explain it, and then we just say, "Oh, well, was India owned by the UK? How did that work?" And then it's like, "Oh, yeah, we kind of owned it," and then that's it. That's as deep as you get right now, and in some schools, and that's a real shame because it doesn't explain some of that detail, and also you're worse off for it because you just don't have that cultural piece of information that you should have. So it's a funny one, and I don't understand it. It seems like we spend more time learning about pharaohs and World War II than we do learning about the empire.
Well, I've ditched a lot of the World War II stuff that I teach, and been teaching about the Benin bronzes and the Kingdom of Benin because that's a very good example of how the Europeans came in and ruined a culture. Wow, getting a bit highfalutin here, aren't we? Bobby, have you watched anything over summer that's excited you, or played any games that have excited you? What's been keeping you busy, game-wise?
FIFA Ultimate Team.
Oh, it's always FIFA.
I've tried so hard. I installed Predator Hunting Grounds and got as far as maybe just clicking on it, and then I backed out of it to play FIFA Ultimate Team. And I played a bit of the cat game.
Oh, Stray.
Yes.
But then I got stuck on that first sort of puzzle with the numbers to get out of the thing after you find the little robot.
Oh, mate, that's easy.
Yeah, that makes it feel better, Alex.
So I gave up on that and then went back to playing FIFA Ultimate Team.
The thing is, Bobby, I mean, it's your comfort game, and if that's what makes you happy and you've got limited time, then don't feel guilty about playing it. I mostly dip into Battlefield and COD if I need to relax, because it's mindless and you can shoot the breeze with friends online. And I know exactly. I mean, my FIFA is COD, really. I mean, I have been playing other games, but I know what you mean.
I switched to haddock and chips rather than cod and chips because COD
Pollock.
is less sustainable apparently. Yeah. And then on TV, and then I'm sort of playing FIFA Ultimate Team every night for like 10-20 minutes, because if you complete certain challenges, you get packs in FIFA Ultimate Team 23, which comes out in a few weeks, I think, actually. So, they get you. Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in. And then Only Murders in the Building. We absolutely loved season 1, so season 2 was a no-brainer for us. It was absolutely fantastic. I love Steve Martin. I love Martin Short, always have. And I love Selena Gomez, which is funny because during the pandemic, I really got into her music. Her solo albums, not the stuff she did sort of that was more Disney. But anyway, she's awesome.
Didn't she
I think
suffer from
the thing with her is that she's just so genuine as well. Like,
didn't she suffer from
you
depression
could
for a
believe
while?
that she was that.
Yeah,
She's been through a lot.
I think there's a new
she's,
documentary about her life and how she sort of coped with it. That's on one of the streaming networks. Might be worth watching. I have to find out where that is.
Yeah, she almost died. She had to get a donation from a friend. But I really love her. I think she's so cool. And she was behind the 10 Reasons Why, that show on Netflix, which dealt with suicide.
Ah.
She was exec producer on that. Or was it 14 Reasons
Yeah, no,
Why?
I've heard about
Anyway.
I've heard about that.
But yeah, Only Murders in the Building was great. What else? Miss Marvel. Agree with Alex. That was great. The whole partition thing. I'm a kind of a product of that because my mum and dad wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for all of that stuff. So it was nice to see that they sort of took that subject on and dealt with it quite sensitively. What else did I watch over? Oh, Prey.
Oh, that's good.
That was probably my movie of the summer, aside from Maverick. Maverick actually was brilliant, and I'm so glad that that film is getting the credit, the recognition that it deserves. It was fantastic. But Prey, also the best Predator film since the original Predator. That film was just a joy. And I didn't know that Dan Trachtenberg directed it. He did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was absolutely phenomenal. And if he ever listens to this, dude, you did such a bang-up job. I had a little exchange with the guy who plays the main character's brother on Instagram. That was his first acting role. And he did all of the horse riding stuff himself as well. No doubles. Absolutely incredible debut performances from a lot of that cast. That film, if whether you're into Predator or not, doesn't matter. It just deserves to be seen because I just think there is a lot of work that went into it, and it should be appreciated.
It has a kind of a rare purity to it as well. I think it's kind of a pared down film without losing any of what you'd expect from paring a film down. I thought it was just very lovingly made. I agree with you. I really enjoyed it, and I think I agree. It's my favourite Predator film since the original as well.
Oh, and I blew through all 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek. I just finished it last week. What a great show!
Oh, it's another one I couldn't get into.
Yeah, I think you need to definitely give it sort of 4 or 5 episodes, and then the characters develop and they grow, and you kind of fall for them.
Sure.
It's so good. The way it ended was just really sweet, and there were moments where I was just in tears. It was such a great show. So yeah, and I did watch Community. I did the whole of that, Alex. I think I finished it earlier in the summer. We didn't get to talk about it, but Community was brilliant. I love that show. So good. It was so good and so creative and so inventive, and I just love the way how in later seasons they really got creative with different, making episodes in different genres like musicals and stop motion animation, and it's very quirky, but I just absolutely loved it. It goes into my sort of bookshelf of shows that I'm very fond of, like the US version of The Office and the original Office and so on. It was it was just magic. I loved it. So much fun.
Awesome. Well, there's some good ones there that I haven't seen actually, so I need to watch those. One show I want to mention actually that I've watched quite recently is Slow Horses, which is an Apple TV show with Gary Oldman. Have you seen it, Bobby?
I haven't. It's on my list.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. Do you know what? It's one of those ones I put in the back burner and thought, it's one of the shows I can probably watch with my other half, and we can both enjoy it. And it's set in this kind of subsection of MI5, which is the dregs of MI5 that have either been disgraced in missions or done naughty things and are being pushed to one side. And so Slough House is this kind of run-down office hidden away. I won't spoil it too much, but Gary Oldman is kind of the boss of the office, and he's a hateful kind of a hateful character to begin with. He's really horrible to his staff, and it looks like he's just kind of working his retirement out before he can retire. But actually, the story is a lot more. It's got Christian Scott Thomas in it as well, and it's kind of there's more to what's going on than you imagine. And it has kind of a Line of Duty feel to it, but with a much better sort of American polish to it. It's all set in the UK, but great cast, a really clever story, lots of twists, and Gary Oldman is excellent. He's really good in this. And I read an interview with him recently how this is his first TV series he's made, and how he really likes now making TV series because they're a bit less intense than films, and he likes developing the role a bit more. And I think they are filming another series as well. But I really, really enjoyed it, and it wasn't too long. It was like 6 to 8 episodes, I think, but really tense and really, well filmed. Bobby,
Something else I seen, but I couldn't talk about it because you hadn't seen it yet, and I'm hoping you and Becca got round to it. But have you seen the latest season of For All Mankind?
yes,
Oh, we
yes.
can talk about it. Oh,
yeah.
Yes. I mean, not with Alex here because he hasn't
No,
seen it yet, and
so
he needs
good.
to see it.
So good.
He needs to see it.
Every season gets better in that show.
Oh my god!
I can't understand why it hasn't won any awards yet, because it's so good.
I can't believe I can't talk about it
No,
because Alex
we'll
is
have
here,
to have
so
a-
we're going to have to do a second.
No, you can talk about it.
No. We'll save that. It's a whole
No.
podcast. So Alex has been pinging us lots of messages about things he's seen. Wants to talk about.
I keep remembering things
Yeah.
where, as you're talking, I'm going, I should have talked about this. I should have talked about that.
Well, a couple of those things we do need to mention, I think, because they're quite recent, and we have all watched them. Is The Rings of Power and The House of Dragon. So we could give our kind of a first 2 or 3 episodes kind of feel of those shows. So let's.
I haven't seen the Game of Thrones one yet.
Yeah, the House of the Dragon.
No, but we are watching Rings of Power, and it is much better than the Hobbit trilogy or whatever that, because they were rubbish.
I haven't seen one of those actually. I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, don't bother.
Hobbit isn't as
don't read
good,
the book
obviously.
again.
Well, do you know what? I think the book was always more child friendly, I thought, than Lord of the Rings.
It was. You're absolutely right, but they've ruined it. And there's I won't get into it now. There's a whole number of reasons why it ended up such a mess, both visually and in terms of the way they adapted it. But it is just not a patch on the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is one of the rare perfect film trilogies for me, but and book to screen adaptations. But The Hobbit, they absolutely wrecked it. But Rings of Power, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm not even really a Tolkien head. My wife wears that crown in this house. But it's really, really good. Really enjoying it so far.
We're not going to go into too much depth now because I think we could give more time to that as well. But how do you feel about Galadriel? I'm just trying to remember her name. It's Morfydd. Her name is it Morfydd Davis?
She's hot.
Yeah, I mean, she's. I think she's Swedish.
A hot elf.
Morfydd Clark. That's it. Morfydd Clark. She's Galadriel. She's Swedish born, but she's actually Welsh. So there's a bit of a mixture there. I really like her as a character. I think she's. A lot of people have complained about that she's not, the Galadriel they know from as Kate Blanchett. But I think, she's an elf that lives for many, many hundreds of years. And like anybody, people grow, develop and change, don't they? So I think they can get away with her being a kind of a slightly different feel to the films. I'm really enjoying it. I'm a little bit sad about the backlash and the whole sort of black hobbits and the racism that's been going on when there are other creatures like orcs and dragons that no one's really worried about.
They're not hobbits, by the way.
No, they're half-foots, aren't they? Which is a different species. But
are they the ascendants? You know what I mean? Are they the distant relatives of? Do hobbits come from them?
Do you know what? I don't know much about the Hobbit lore myself, but I'll
find out.
The names seem very similar in how they name each other.
They're descendants. That's the thing. So hobbits are descendants of Harfoots, and I can't remember. There's another race as well, and they mix. I can't remember exactly which. There's a lot of detail about all of that, but they can't really talk about it in the Amazon thing because they don't have the rights. I think
they are like a subspecies or like a branching evolution of the hobbits.
Harfoots were one of 3 breeds of hobbits in Middle Earth, along with Stores and Fallowhides. They were browner of skin than other hobbits, so all you racists out there, shut up. Lacking beards and wearing no footwear, they lived in holes they called smeals and tunnels, a habit they maintained for the entire Third Age and beyond. There you go.
Yeah, so even these idiots who complain about the way they look obviously haven't done their research because that's the way they actually looked in Tolkien's descriptions. And I think Lenny Henry's really good.
He is good.
And I think
Very
it's really
good.
interesting because he's a really big guy, in real life, and the fact that he's, they've shown him kind of as one of the tribe. I'm going to cough. Excuse me. Excuse me. I think he did a really good job, and I actually, I read about their accents. They've kind of developed this kind of Irish-like accent. It's not quite Irish. They've kind of blended it with our accents. I think that's really clever as well, to show them as different to the Hobbits. I was a bit confused by the first couple of episodes where they're all friendly and family and we all pull together, and then the third episode, oh no, if you get injured, we leave you behind and put you in a book. I was a bit, who knows, Tolkien, crazy guy, but no, I really enjoy it, and I know they're playing a little bit loose and fast with the timelines as well, in terms of Galadriel's life and what goes on. But I think, as you mentioned, Bobby, it's a real challenge to represent these in film and TV, and they can do it very well, like the Lord of the Rings, or not so well, like the Hobbits. But I think it looks fabulous, and they've definitely spent the money on it, and I think it's going to pull in a whole new group of fans. I think you'll see people going back to the Lord of the Rings films and watching them again, and maybe going back to the books as well.
I was probably a little bit too harsh on the Hobbit trilogy because, again, I don't like doing that sort of thing because a lot of people put a lot of work into those films. But I think the problem was it kind of jarred. Put the script stuff aside. There's a whole history. Guillermo del Toro did a treatment first of all. Did 365 days 360 days, I think it was, of pre-production, and then basically quit. Yeah. And then they got Peter Jackson back, who I think didn't want to do it initially because The Lord of the Rings almost killed him. Yeah. I think Spielberg was involved at some point as well. It might have been Spielberg that had done the 360 days worth of shooting, and then they put it in the bin. But I think the main problem for me was we sat down, we were quite excited about it, and the cast was excellent as well. But they'd made this decision to film in 8K at, I think it was like 24 frames per second.
It was a weird frame rate, wasn't it?
It just looks like it's been shot on a home. It's got that, or whatever. 48, because that's what the human eye can perceive, apparently, or something. I don't know.
It was better than the 24 that you were used to.
I remember this. Yeah. I remember seeing it at the cinema and thinking, this is weird. It's like going to the theatre.
Yeah.
It was weird.
That's exactly it. It was so weird. And with the CGI and everything, it really took you out of the movie. And you couldn't... I mean, I know that they're all science fiction and fantasy and that is not real. But, I mean, Lord of the Rings, you were immersed in that universe for the entire trilogy. This one, you were out of it from the very first second it was on screen. It was so weird. It had that, when people don't set their televisions up right, their HD TVs, and it's the soap
motion
opera
smoothing
effect. Yeah, that's it. And I just, it's such a shame, really. It really is. But Rings of Power, I haven't read any reviews. I haven't seen any of the criticisms, but I can imagine it. But they've done such a good job, and every penny is up on that screen as well. They've not wasted any of it. It looks phenomenal.
So, there is a textbook answer to Hobbit versus Lord of the Rings, which is a Screen Crush video on YouTube that you can watch. It was out at the end of August, and it explains some of this, but it also explains around the narrative. And why? Because there's a functional problem with the film caused by all of these issues. That means that you look at the way that the Hobbit works, and you look at the way the Lord of the Rings work, and then you go, why is the Lord of the Rings so much better? And it's yes, there's all this noise, but there's also some interesting stuff around that and how they explain it, and obviously. Then there's a lot of talk about how the film was split and that kind of thing. But yeah, so it's worth watching if you want to kind of understand why. It's like, then that will help. What I like about the Rings of Power at the moment is that I really enjoy watching it, and I just can't put it down. So whenever it's on, I put it on and I watch it, and I don't feel like the time is dragging. I'm really in
you're drawn in, aren't you?
Go straight into it. yes, they really have spent a lot of money. Maybe they didn't need to spend quite that much, but for that money that they spent, it's excellent. So I can't, House of Dragon, without giving too many spoilers, Bobby. So I think House of Dragon is probably what the Rings of Power would be if they didn't have a ridiculous budget. Because but also I think the storyline is a bit muddier with House of Dragons. So I think you have to persevere with it.
It's Dynasty with Dragons basically at the moment, isn't it? Really,
it is absolutely. But also now that you're zipping back into the past where they had dragons more than it was in Game of Thrones. It's nice because you get to see what they mean by the Targaryens and how their reign was and that kind of thing. And Matt Smith is amazing, so I really love seeing him.
He's enjoying his role, isn't he?
Oh, it's such a
meaty role he's got.
Difference, yeah, it's such a difference to him being Doctor Who, where he's very light and flippant and stuff. And there is a surprising amount of depth to his character for someone who, feels like he's just the unwanted one, as it were. And there's a lot more depth than you think. So yeah, it's really good. But yeah, you just have to keep going on it. Bobby, watch it when you can. So.
Have you seen all the Game of Thrones, Bobby? All the episodes of Game of Thrones?
Yeah. We watched it when it wasn't fashionable anymore because we don't like doing what other people are doing. But then I think it was at the start of COVID, maybe. Or maybe, no, it was the year before COVID. So 2019. Whenever season 8 came out.
Yeah, the final season.
So while everybody was watching season 8, we were watching it from the beginning.
I see.
And we did the entire 1 to 7 in 4 weeks. Like, we were going at a really...
That's a lot of tits and dragons, mate, I have to say.
It is we were going all guns on it, but sometimes like 5 or 6 episodes in one night. It was mental.
Wow,
absolutely mental. But and then we sort of caught up, and then we were able to watch the whole of season 8 in one go and be almost as disappointed as everybody else.
See, I'm enjoying in the current season. Again, no spoilers for you, Bobby. I'm enjoying seeing the ancestors of all our known families. The Lannisters, the Hightowers, the Targaryens. Who else have we seen? There's been some interesting kind of references, and it makes you think, oh yes, they're going to be they're going to be the strong families in Game of Thrones later on. But I think it's basically giving the fans what they want. I think at the moment, House of Dragon. It's not what I liked about I think seasons 2, 3, and 4 of Game of Thrones was a really clever development and twist of character and twist of story that was kind of leading up to something which kind of lost that strength in series 6 and 7 and 8. I'm hoping the House of Dragon does that as well, that this all leads together into one. Now obviously it's all based on existing material, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's extended from what they had.
Yeah.
So I think he helped write a lot of the lore, but he's already But I think he'd already spelt out a lot of this in some of the previous books. So I don't think I don't think he's created a massively new arc. I think he's sort of like, no, it was always meant to be there. I just mentioned it. I mentioned it here and there in this book and that book. Whereas I've got a TV series now, we can really go into detail about that. So it's definitely worth watching, but definitely watching Rings of Power first.
Yeah. Have
you guys seen Sandman yet?
I have watched about 4 or 5 episodes and dropped off a little bit of it, but I have enjoyed what I've seen and some really interesting. I know nothing about Sandman at all. Never read the books, the comics, or anything. But
we've just
enjoyed
started it.
Quite enjoyed it,
and we're just enjoying it now. I think we've binged so many things now. We're like we've run out of new stuff to watch. But yeah, no. So we have been enjoying Sandman. We're only a couple in now, so we'll keep you posted on that.
I like. Is it Constantine?
Yes,
I like that character a lot.
He's a very good character.
Yeah. And I'm hoping he's going to cause a ruckus. I imagine he probably will.
He will. He's not in it, is he?
No, it's not John Constantine.
They switched to Mrs. Constantine
there's
because of
different.
a
Who's
rights
the guy
issue.
with the glasses?
They can't use the character.
Who's the guy with the glasses, Alex? I thought that was.
I
Constantine.
thought it was Constantine. Maybe he's got a different name.
Yeah. No, he's the Corinthian, isn't he?
Corinthian, that's it.
No, Constantine is the female. Isn't she like a relation or a daughter of or something?
Yeah, they can't use John Constantine because of a rights issue.
Right. Yeah.
So they had to use the female character instead.
No, I'm enjoying it. I will probably finish watching it. It's just getting the time to my television when my family let me have a TV. But
Jenna Coleman's playing Constantine.
That's right. Yeah, she's quite cool in it as well, actually. Yeah, and she's an interesting character. Which again, I'm keen to see more of, like where she comes from, and what's her story. So I think we're going to wrap up fairly soon. But one thing I do need to do, which I haven't done yet, which you're all going to gasp at, is I haven't yet watched Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Okay.
And
we finished that. I can't believe I forgot that one as well.
Yeah.
We watched so much Better Call Saul. Oh my god!
I'd like to watch all of those because everyone says how good they are, and I've just never got around to it. So that's my plan for my sort of bedtime viewing, that I can just watch it and fall asleep to it. I'll watch some of that, I think. So
definitely do Breaking Bad first.
Yeah, and I'm going to. I watched a couple of episodes and liked it, but my other half did not. So I have to find the time to do that. Any other things you want to chat about? Chats before we wrap up today.
We didn't talk about the cat game,
no.
Stray,
Would
but
you like to?
I completed that.
Oh.
I thought it was quite good. There were some bits that were really tricky, Bobby, so it's not just you. But when I played that, I just had the walkthrough like in a window on my phone. So if I struggled, I was just like, oh, where is it? Right, where is this thing that I'm meant to get? But yeah, it's about 4 to 6 hours long.
Some of my friends have described me as a John McEnroe of gaming.
I can see that.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't think that's a compliment. Sorry, Bobby. Oh dear. No, I think the game itself is really good. So it just jumps you into a world like a cyberpunk world where humans have gone somewhere. And it's just the only thing that you see are these robots that now live in a decaying city, and it's just visually stunning. I love the mechanic of being a cat. It's not massively complicated, but there's quite a lot going on, and there's areas of peril. There's some thinking times, and there's some where you just go, I would never have thought of that, and you just have to look it up. It's really good.
I'm still toying with the idea of upgrading my PS Plus to PS Extra, because I think the cost of my upgrade would be equivalent to buying that game anyway. But did
I upgrade to PS Extra?
You can, yeah. They show you if you go onto the the store on your PlayStation. It will show you how much it costs to upgrade and how many days you can use it before the full rebuy. I
tend to overshare with you guys. I'm asking you, did I upgrade to PS Extra?
I don't know I don't think you did, Bobby.
Oh, sorry. Are you not sure?
I have no idea. You know me. I just
look on
and
the app.
spend money, and I don't know what to spend money on.
If you didn't do anything, you'll still be on the PS Plus Essential, which is just the basic that gets you the 3 games a month and be able to play online. Extra, you'd have to pay an upgrade for it. And looking at the site, I could pay, I think, about £19.50. It's a weird amount. And it tells you how many days left. I think about 150 days left of that.
So that was the challenge, because basically it takes the number of days that you've got, works it out as the money, and then takes that off of your what the level is. Now that's fine. That's absolutely fair, but it's also not very generous.
No, you get stung at the end as well when it then resubscribes. It's about £90, isn't it?
Well, then it goes up to the full price.
Yeah.
So you don't, because I ended up. Because I've had Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years or so, and I had it where I could upgrade from gold.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of year vouchers, and then upgraded it to gold, and so I got those 2 years of Ultimate. and then it was running out this August, and I sort of said, I wonder if I can do it again, and I can.
Oh, wow.
So
still
I ended up spending. Yeah, it still exists.
Yeah.
So I ended up spending about, I think it's about £100 for about another 3 years, like 2025. I think it's going to last, of Ultimate. So I was like, this is great. It's quite a nifty hack, but I feel like buying two, like buying PS as well. I think there's too much doubling up, and so I think I'm going to stick with Essential.
Well, I mean, I've got so many of the games that are on the extra list, and I think the odd new freebie or advance is worth it. But I think I might just sit and wait until Stray goes out, on sale for $8.99 on the the sales later on, and play it.
I paid for it because I mean it's worth it because it is a good game, but it will go on sale.
My kids are always asking, Daddy, when are you going to get the cat game? So Bobby.
I'm on PlayStation Plus Premium.
You bought the full whack.
I don't know.
That's the most expensive tier.
That's the top one.
What does that
do? That
includes streaming and
you get streaming of all the old PS3 games and PSP Vita games, but also you'll get advance chances to play games before they're released, like the betas.
Why do I want to stream old games where the resolution is?
You're the one that bought it, mate. I don't know. Did you do it by accident? I don't know.
I don't know. I think you guys were talking about it, and then I was probably in one of my moods where I was in a hurry or something, and I was like, "Oh, is there a new subscription thing?" And I probably just was like, "Okay, I'll just try it out."
I think we talked about it, and then you just bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
because I'm a doer.
You're going to get game trials, so you'll get the biggest games for a time-limited basis. So you can, like if the new Horizon came, or the new God of War game comes out, you'll get to play a bit of that before it's released, and all your
Jedi
progress.
Fallen Order 2, I will play for you.
All the progress and trophies that you get from that trial will carry over into the full game, so you just carry on with it. You get the classics catalogue, which I think most tiers can get, but you also get cloud streaming, and you can actually play on PC as well, I think.
Yeah,
totally
you can.
Wasted. It's totally wasted on
I know.
It's overkill, mate.
There are a few extra games you get, the extra tier. You can download and play some classics, but I think there's even more on the premium.
Yeah, they've kind of really layered it.
Oh, it's just not good.
It's one of those things where you get to the point where you just think it's really complicated. I mean, even with Xbox, you've got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and you've got a Game Pass for Xbox. So even with Xbox, it's complicated, but at least you all get the same level of games.
Oh, the extra and the premium
tiers
get the Ubisoft Plus classics as well.
That's good.
Which you don't get on the basic one, but
nice.
I need to check that my Xbox Series X, after all the trouble and time it took to actually get my hands on one, and I haven't actually switched it on for about 2 or 3 months.
I've been paying mine monthly. I haven't used mine much as well.
I've just gone back to it.
Yeah.
Because I did a whole period of, I had Stray, and then I had Horizon Zero West, not Zero West, Forbidden West.
Yeah. I'm currently playing
and
that
I did Zero Dawn before that. So I just went through a huge PlayStation binge, and then I came back to Xbox, and I've been playing Guardians of the Galaxy, which is absolutely hard as. I've got to a point where I just can't I keep dying because I'm just not good enough at it.
I found it. Shock horror, guys! Just hold on to your hats. I did play that game. Now I remember.
There you go.
I got bored of it after like the 4th or 5th level because I just found it very button bashy.
It is a bit, and you're just trying really hard not to die, so you can get past the crunch point or boss battle or whatever it is, and then you get to the do more fun stuff, and you go, oh, this is all right, I'll let it go, and then it has another crunch bit, and you're like, oh.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I played over the holiday on the cruise ship. I played Portal 1 and Portal 2 on my Switch, and Portal 2 is still the best game ever made in terms of game design.
Yeah.
Even the new games that come out. Now I'm aware that Bobby's got to jump off for another meeting very soon.
Yes.
So we're gonna wrap up there. But there's lots of food for thought there for more podcasts we need to discuss and go into more detail, which we will, and we'll try and grab Mark to come along as well. So you can catch us all on Twitter and on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm at John P.R. Evans. Alex is at Alex Hansford, and Bobby is at It's Bobby Rivilla. Bobby, on Instagram, are you more steering towards your Tailoring Talk feed or your own personal one? Which one?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, my professional account, which is at Roberto Rivilla London, if you want to look at pictures of my clients in lovely clothes. We're doing a lot more reels now, behind the scenes stuff.
There's a gentleman with very nice cool. kind of jacket and waistcoat with kind of a red and sort of mauve and red and purple weave to it. He looked very happy in front of his mirror.
Yeah, he was very powerfully built gentleman. He was chuffed to bits. Yeah. And then you can also find my podcast on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Podcast. I'm not really using my personal account so much now.
There's a sorry, go on.
Superhero personas are coming to the fore.
There is a drinking game on your podcast. Did you know this?
So,
no. What happens is that whenever you mention Play Pause Turn on the Tailoring Talk podcast, everyone has to drink. So
how many? So the last episode we recorded together, which was a riot,
you were on drugs. To be fair.
Well, it's not out yet.
For Live and Let Die, which won't be out until October. But
that's a heavy one.
But how many times did I mention Play Pause Turn, Alex? In the end,
it's double digits.
Yeah, I plugged it a lot.
Good.
I'll count during editing.
Yeah, it was good. That might get us a few more views, so that's good.
I hope so.
You can also find us at Play Pause Turn on Twitter. Have you posted anything on that account recently, Alex? Because I haven't.
I only post when we do
the show,
put the show out. But yeah, no, we haven't had the time. We've all been really busy with life stuff, and now we're kind of back on. Back in the rhythm, and we'll be posting a bit more.
Now there's some secret archive content somewhere that we put together before the holidays that I might send out as well.
Bonus episode.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but you can also find us at the website playpauseturn.show if you are kind of one of those people that likes to stream from a website rather than go to a podcast feed. But there you go.
Listen to it at work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're on all the other streaming.
All the places.
Yeah. We'll get back in our rut again and get more specific about our shows and our games. But so far, this has been Play Pause Turn. I'm going to say it again, Play Pause Turn. Oh, and again, Play Pause Turn. Is that enough? Is that as many as?
I don't think it counts on our show.
Oh no, okay.
I think for us, we have to talk about Tailoring Talk.
This has been no, it hasn't. This has been Play Pause Turn, and thank you for listening.